Greetings and welcome to another video, and today I got a special video for you guys. Now, today I'm going to show you my solo training for Iron Body. Now when I say Iron Body, I'm basically referring to my body conditioning as a way of strengthening my entire body to be able to withstand damage and improve my damage output. For instance, I primarily call it Iron Body because if you look at Chinese martial arts, specifically Shaolin Kung Fu, I know when I say Chinese martial arts, there's a lot of them. Specifically in Shaolin Kung Fu, they have the things like Iron Fist, Iron Shirt, those things. I just say Iron Body as a way of saying I'm going to be showing you my conditioning for the entire body. At least what I'm conditioning. There are certain spots that don't get any conditioning just because some things can't be reached that easily. Especially since this is all solo training meant to be done that you can do at home. I will do another one on partner drills, don't worry. The partner drills are actually better anyway. This is just what you can do at home. Now, we're going to be, just a brief layout of what you're going to see. We're going to do stuff, we're going to start with stuff for the upper arms. We're going to do stuff for the forearms. I got stuff for the shins, and I more or less include the parts for the upper legs. In the section for the upper arms. Because it's basically the exact same thing. Got a lot of stuff for the hands and wrists, and of course we got stuff for the fingers, the toes. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I got stuff for the shins, and of course we had to finish it off with our ab conditioning. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, now to start off our conditioning things, we got a stick here. Now I particularly wore a tank top for this first one, but what we're going to do is we're going to take our stick, and we are conditioning it from here, from the elbow to the shoulder, just hitting it with the stick. Now you might be wondering why condition this part of the body, because you see this a lot in Muay Thai, and in kickboxing you see it to a lesser extent, Muay Thai, MMA, and a lot in Kyokushin. But people will hit this part of the arm specifically to get, to mess, because if you hurt someone's arms, their guard gets weaker, and sometimes they lower it, and all that. So conditioning this part of the body really helps, and I find that this is the easiest way to do it. And notice I'm just swinging with the wrist, not like this, just rotate the wrist inward. Makes it more efficient, easier, and you get more swings. Plus you'll notice, actually, you get more of a sting with this than you will with the actual full force swing. You want it to be more surface level, getting the deep penetration. And of course, gotta work both sides. And this also is meant to be done to the legs here, because this is solo Iron Body conditioning, and we don't have, since we don't have partners for this, this is realistically our only real option for conditioning this part of the legs. So, do that on all 4 sets, and that's good. And as for conditioning these parts, it's pretty obvious. If if you've watched any MMA or Muay Thai fight, or even a Kyokushin match, leg kicks are very common and they suck very much. So, condition these parts of the legs. On to the next thing. Okay, so for this portion of the training, we're going to be focusing on conditioning the forearms. Now there are four main parts to it. The front part, the inside, and both sides. Now, generally for the solo training, I use a tree generally. And, as you probably expected, yes, it involves a lot of this. And the insides. Yeah, so a lot of that. And if you have the ones like this, you can practice specific blocks, like outside blocks. This you can do pretty much any chest block, and you could do low blocks. But since this is specifically for the conditioning, it really doesn't matter if you want to practice blocks or not. So, yeah. All right, next up we have probably one of the more well-known methods of conditioning nowadays, but also probably everyone's least favorite bit of conditioning, shin conditioning. Now, I've actually done my shin conditioning for the day, but I'm doing it again for the camera. Now, take your stick, and what we're going to do is find the shin bone and just lightly tap it like this. Work your way up and down. Again, just the wrist motion. You're trying to ding your shins, not really smack them. Now, you really want to work your way up and down the shin. You don't want to have any weak parts of your shin. But after all of that, I like to switch shins, go to the other one, and then I like to do some targeted isolation for this. Starting with the upper part of the shin. I actually really like kicking with this part of the shin for inside leg kicks, Kyokushin style. Looks kind of like a knee, but has something on my shin. So, I like to work in this specific area and then go down. This part of the shin is common for kicking, specifically low kicks, and then, of course, gotta work the bottom. You need to have your shins conditioned for the sake of, kicking hard, checking kicks, all that. And then, of course, you can do the option to rake your shins, but I have particularly long leg hair, so I don't really do that because I find that I just end up pulling my leg hair instead of conditioning my shins. But it's like this. Oh, and it's important to do the same to the blade of the shin bone and also the flat. So that's it for the shin. Yeah, for the shin conditioning. Oh, and also, of course, just kicking the bag with your shin. But I'm trying to go into the strictly conditioning parts of this. Generally, if you're kicking the bag, even with your shin, you're probably practicing low kicks. Because that's how I do it. Generally, I'll get my extra shin conditioning in by just practicing low kicks. Now, on to the next thing. Okay, now for the next up, we got a bit of hand conditioning. You have my Makiwara here. This is primarily what I use to condition my knuckles. I did an entire video on the Makiwara, so you can check that out, but this is, like I said, this is primarily for conditioning the knuckles, but it also does good job conditioning the wrist, specifically, and just training your ability to maintain proper alignment with your techniques. See, notice, I instinctively have my shoulder down, my elbow bent just enough to avoid damage, wrist automatically down, and automatically hitting with the proper knuckles. That's what training with the Makiwara does. But it's impact training, so against a solid object that doesn't give that much. It still does give to prevent injury, but it is perfect for for conditioning the hands for punching. Okay, my wrist gave out there. This is why I don't talk while doing it. But yeah, so of course you gotta punch. Sometimes I actually like to do it with my arms flared out a bit to the side. So yeah, since when fighting, I often go for a sideways stance. Yeah, where I'm more like this. So doing this actually helps me get better with body mechanics for how I normally punch. And other than that, you can condition all parts of your hand. But to make sure that everything is, I'm only going to cover one more thing because it doesn't get covered anywhere else. But it's the ridge hand. But yeah, just that. And that's this right here. This strike is often called the roundhouse of the upper body. Okay, when I say often called that, I've heard one person call it that, but it is very powerful, and it basically hits kind of like a knife. So condition it, and when you hit someone with it, it hurts. Personally, I like to aim here. Yeah, or you can always aim for just the general soft spots, or where there are particular weak points. And I just realized it's turned into a technique tutorial. Well, on to the next thing. Okay, now, I've got to lower myself so I'm in frame. Now, for the next bit, we got my iron palm bag here. It's filled with gravel. Now, what we're going to do here is condition the palm, the back of the hand, and the blade of the hand. Now, generally, you can do this just by lifting and letting it fall into place. Sorry if the camera shakes. It's I have it the thing holding in place on the workbench. So but yeah, you could just let it fall into it. Of course, I've gotten to the point of where in order to have it properly condition my hands, I have to actually go down with force. And next, we got the back of the hand. And, of course, the blade of the hand. Now combine that with the Makiwara, and we got a full hand conditioning. And, of course, I do more. And, of course, you can also do the tips of your fingers on here. But generally, I do different finger conditioning, so just back of the hand, front of the hand, knife hand. Although I do generally hang this up. You see the rope here. I generally hang this up from the stand for my punching bag to practice my spear hand on it. But that's pretty much it for this step. So, on to the next thing. All right. Now next up we got, surprise, more hand conditioning. But we got two things here. This is a bucket of sand, this is a bucket of gravel. Now, generally, we'll use the sand specifically as a way of strengthening the muscles in my forearms, because this is actually an interesting fact. There are no muscles in the hands, it's all tendons, and all of the muscle work for it is from the forearms. So, I'll put my fingers in, use this, the sand. One, it toughens up the skin of my hands, but it also, and does some basic conditioning for my fingers, but it's mostly for the muscle work in my forearms, specifically because it does good for preventing elbow injuries. That's enough of that. And now to the real conditioning part. The bucket of gravel. Now, I'm pretty sure I've done a video on this before, but this is my primary use. I primarily use this to train my spear hand by throwing spear hands into the gravel. But of course, you can also punch it. You can do palm strikes, but generally I just go for the punch, spear hands, and sometimes I'll do extra grip work with it. But generally, it's just for the sake of the spear hand. Good conditioning for the fingers, and because the gravel is pointy, you get some pain threshold training as well. But yeah, but what this isn't exactly necessary, but it is very useful, especially if you want to specialize in spear hand like I do. So, next thing. Alright, next thing is actually no impact training. And technically it's the last part of the hand conditioning part of this. Yeah, and it's all push-up variants. Now, the first one, if you've seen Cobra Kai, this should be no surprise, but it's knuckle push-ups. Just, put the pressure on these two knuckles, keep them vertical, and do your push-ups. I'm doing it on carpet here, but once you do it on things that aren't soft, it really toughens up your knuckles. Specifically the skin, but if you do it on hard surfaces, it will do stuff for your bone as well. Next up, we have one of my favorite push-up variants, fingertip push-ups. Strengthens the fingers, can improve your grip, and is one of the main progressions to get good at spear hands. Also, it really helps to have strong fingers, to keep yourself from getting hurt, especially when you're slamming your hands into people at fast speeds. I remember seeing that, I can't remember his name, but he's the current lightweight champion, undefeated, but he says, that he does these daily, as well as the knuckle push-ups, and this third one, people really hate this one, wrist push-ups. This is the grip for it. They hurt a lot, but they strengthen your wrists so that you don't hurt your wrists when you're punching. They hurt a lot, but they're worth it. Just work your way up to doing high amounts of them. You can pretty easily hurt yourself doing these if you don't. So, on to the next thing. Okay, and we're on to the, well, I saved one of the worst as one of the last, so we're on to conditioning the toes. This is probably the worst part of the conditioning, just because of how annoying it is. And so, what we got for it? This bucket of rocks. Gonna lower down. So, what we're gonna do is, gonna take your foot, get a bucket of rocks, and we're kicking the bucket of rocks lightly with our toes. It hurts. Should come as no surprise. Now you might be saying, is there another way? I severely hope so, because this is the only way I can think of, and it hurts. You could also do it to the wall, or you got this bucket of sand here, you can do it to the side of this. Actually, you know what? You can also do it to the side of this. It is much easier to do it to. Unfortunately, I've gotten to the point where this doesn't do much for me, so I have to do it to the rocks in order to get the close. So, that's it for the toe conditioning. I don't do much of it, Yeah, if I did more, I could probably get more results, but... Of course, this is very easy to... I have a friend, he's one of the strongest guys I know, but he had pretty much broken every toe of him on his feet multiple times over. But at the same time, his toe, getting kicked with his toes, it feels like getting stabbed. So that's it for the toe conditioning. On to the next thing. Alright, now we're on to the last portion of the video, and I saved it for ab conditioning, the only form of body conditioning that's universally agreed on as good. Most of this stuff has some controversy behind it, that have plenty of people that says it doesn't work, but ab conditioning is universally agreed on as being good and even necessary. Now, to start this off, yeah, this is the primary one that I do. Yeah, but I've always referred to them as karate-style jumping jacks because I've never seen anyone outside of karate doing it. Just normal jumping jacks, but on the way down, you punch yourself in the stomach. You can change the location on which you hit. Yeah, they're basically, yeah, a common place to do it by dojo. And I've been going there for almost 8 years. And they basically mandate doing this after a certain point. I mean, I don't know what the certain point is since they had me doing this as a white belt. Now the second one is the return of what you guys have been seeing this entire video, the stick. Now, this should come as no surprise, we're hitting ourselves with it. Change locations, hit yourself with different intensity if you feel like it. And as usual, just rotate with the wrist. I've been covering this, the same thing for the entire video, so I won't go too deep in detail with it now. Now on to the last one. Gotta change the camera angle for this now, so gotta change the camera angle. This one has to be done on the floor. Now, what you do is lay on the floor like this. When you're starting, you can keep your back in the room, but generally they say to try to get your lower back off the ground. But for the sake of the fact that I'm going to have to talk during this, I'm just going to do that. So what you do is start, just raise it up, drop it on your stomach. Now, this is pretty easy, so eventually throw it up, let it fall. Now, generally, my aim sucks with throwing things, that's why I'm not an athlete. So what I generally do is just hold it up, slam it down. It's actually not as painful as you would expect. So, realistically speaking, it's better than nothing, but in terms of solo drills, generally, you would want to get a bigger medicine ball, and a heavier one, or solid one, or just figure something out to add more difficulty once you get to a higher level. And of course, you could just raise it up here, raise your lower back off the floor. While I demonstrate this, I'm not going to talk. That specifically improves your ability to maintain a tight core while breathing. Specifically because, well, if You can't just tighten your stomach muscles and stop breathing in the middle of the fight. You have to be able to do both. So that was it for my solo iron body training. There is one more exercise I do, which is basically a standing version of what I did with this, but with a brick. But I have a feeling if I did that, I would have to deal with a lot of comments about it. Now, once I get the chance, I'm going to do a video on this of iron body conditioning with a partner. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. If you have any comments, let me know in the comments. Particularly questions are always welcome. So, thank you all very much for watching. This is Random Man, signing off.